She thought it was harmless, just a little late-night comfort food to help her sleep. But before we dive into the shocking story that could save your health, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because the content we share on this channel could literally change your life. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for the entire video, because what I'm about to reveal will completely transform how you think about your evening eating habits forever. Night after night, that one innocent habit began to take a silent toll on her body. By the time the signs appeared, it was already too late. In today's episode, we uncover the hidden danger lurking in a food millions eat before bed, and why she wished she had known sooner. Stay tuned, because this could change your nightly routine forever. Sarah Martinez had always been a health-conscious person throughout her 20s and early 30s, hitting the gym regularly, maintaining a balanced diet during the day, and prioritizing her wellness in every aspect of her life except one seemingly harmless ritual that would eventually become her biggest regret. Every single night for over 3 years, without fail, Sarah would settle into her cozy living room around 10:30 in the evening with a generous bowl of her favorite late-night snack, convinced that this particular food choice was not only harmless, but actually beneficial for helping her wind down and prepare for a restful night's sleep. The food in question wasn't fast food, wasn't processed junk, and wasn't even something that most people would immediately recognize as dangerous, which is exactly what made Sarah's story so shocking, and why it serves as a critical warning for millions of people who might be making the exact same mistake right now without even realizing the devastating consequences that could be building up inside their bodies. Sarah's nightly ritual involved consuming large portions of what she believed to be a healthy, natural food that promised to deliver essential nutrients, promote better sleep, and satisfy her evening cravings without the guilt associated with traditional late-night snacking. But what she didn't know was that timing, quantity, and frequency were creating a perfect storm inside her digestive system that would eventually manifest in ways she never could have anticipated. The food Sarah consumed every night was Greek yogurt, specifically large containers of full-fat Greek yogurt mixed with honey, nuts, and fresh berries, totaling anywhere from 600 to 800 calories consumed within 2 hours of bedtime. And while each individual component of her nightly meal appeared healthy and nutritious on the surface, the combination of timing, portion size, and consistency created a cascade of metabolic disruptions that began subtly but gradually intensified over months and years. Greek yogurt, despite its reputation as a superfood packed with protein, probiotics, and essential nutrients, becomes problematic when consumed in large quantities late at night, because the body's natural circadian rhythms and metabolic processes are designed to slow down in preparation for sleep, not to digest and process substantial amounts of food, especially dairy products, which require significant energy and resources to break down properly. Sarah's digestive system was working overtime every single night, preventing her from achieving the deep, restorative sleep phases that are crucial for cellular repair, hormone regulation, and overall health maintenance, creating a vicious cycle where poor sleep quality led to increased cravings for comfort foods, which in turn disrupted her sleep even further. The high protein content in Greek yogurt, while beneficial during daytime hours, can actually stimulate the production of certain neurotransmitters and hormones that promote alertness rather than relaxation when consumed close to bedtime, counteracting the body's natural preparation for sleep and potentially leading to fragmented sleep patterns, frequent awakenings, and reduced time spent in the critical deep sleep stages that are essential for physical and mental recovery. The natural sugars from honey and fruit, combined with the lactose in dairy products, created blood sugar fluctuations throughout the night that triggered cortisol releases, stress hormone spikes, and inflammatory responses that Sarah's body was forced to deal with during what should have been its most restful and regenerative period. The probiotics in Greek yogurt, while generally beneficial for gut health, can become problematic when consumed in large quantities during nighttime hours, because the gut microbiome follows its own circadian rhythm, and disrupting this natural cycle with substantial food intake can lead to bacterial imbalances, digestive inflammation, and compromised intestinal barrier function over time. Sarah began noticing the first subtle signs of trouble about 18 months into her nightly yogurt routine, experiencing what she initially attributed to stress from work and life pressures, including persistent bloating that seemed worse in the mornings, unexplained fatigue despite getting what she thought was adequate sleep, skin issues that hadn't bothered her since her teenage years, and a gradual but noticeable weight gain around her midsection despite maintaining her regular exercise routine and healthy daytime eating habits. These early warning signs were her body's desperate attempts to communicate that something was fundamentally wrong with her nighttime eating pattern. But like so many people dealing with gradual health changes, Sarah dismissed these symptoms as normal parts of aging and increased life stress, rather than recognizing them as direct consequences of her supposedly healthy evening ritual. The bloating Sarah experienced each morning was actually her digestive system's response to processing large amounts of dairy and natural sugars during hours when stomach acid production and digestive enzyme activity naturally decrease, leading to incomplete digestion, bacterial fermentation, and the accumulation of gas and inflammatory compounds in her intestines. Her persistent fatigue wasn't just due to work stress, but was a direct result of her body's inability to enter deep sleep phases because her digestive system remained active throughout the night, burning energy and resources that should have been directed towards cellular repair and restoration processes. The skin issues that began appearing on Sarah's face and back were manifestations of the inflammatory cascade triggered by nighttime eating, as her body struggled to process dairy proteins and natural sugars during hours when its detoxification systems should have been focused on clearing metabolic waste and repairing cellular damage from the day's activities. The weight gain around her midsection was perhaps the most concerning development, as it indicated that her body was increasingly storing the calories from her nighttime yogurt consumption as abdominal fat, rather than utilizing them for energy, a metabolic shift that occurs when the body's natural fat-burning mechanisms are disrupted by nighttime eating patterns. As months turned into years, Sarah's symptoms intensified and multiplied, creating a complex web of health issues that seemed unrelated on the surface, but were all connected to her innocent nightly ritual, including chronic acid reflux that began waking her up in the middle of the night, joint stiffness and inflammation that made her morning workouts increasingly difficult, brain fog and concentration problems that affected her work performance, mood swings and irritability that strained her relationships, and a growing dependence on caffeine and stimulants to combat her constant exhaustion. The acid reflux was a direct consequence of consuming large amounts of food before lying down, as gravity no longer assisted her digestive system in keeping stomach contents where they belonged, allowing acidic digestive juices mixed with partially digested yogurt to reflux into her esophagus and cause burning, inflammation, and tissue damage over time. The joint inflammation Sarah experienced was linked to the chronic low-grade inflammatory state created by her disrupted circadian rhythms and compromised digestive health, as her immune system remained in a constant state of alert, producing inflammatory compounds that circulated throughout her body and accumulated in her joints, muscles, and connective tissues. Her cognitive symptoms, including brain fog and concentration problems, were manifestations of the gut-brain connection being disrupted by her compromised digestive health, as the inflammatory compounds and bacterial imbalances in her intestines directly influenced neurotransmitter production and brain function through the vagus nerve and other communication pathways between the gut and brain. The mood changes and irritability Sarah experienced were also connected to her disrupted sleep patterns and the chronic stress her body endured from processing large amounts of food during nighttime hours, leading to unbalanced cortisol patterns, disrupted serotonin production, and compromised emotional regulation systems. By the time Sarah reached her third year of nightly yogurt consumption, her health had deteriorated to the point where she was experiencing what her doctors initially diagnosed as early signs of metabolic syndrome, including elevated blood sugar levels, increased blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol ratios, and significant abdominal weight gain that put her at risk for type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and other serious chronic conditions. The metabolic syndrome diagnosis was particularly shocking to Sarah because she had maintained what she believed to be a healthy lifestyle, exercising regularly and eating nutritious foods, but her late-night eating pattern had fundamentally disrupted her body's ability to maintain proper metabolic function and blood sugar control. Her blood sugar levels showed a pattern of nighttime spikes followed by morning crashes, indicating that her body's insulin sensitivity had become severely compromised by the constant influx of sugars and proteins during hours when her metabolism should have been at its lowest ebb. Her elevated blood pressure and abnormal cholesterol ratios were consequences of the chronic inflammatory state and metabolic disruption caused by her nighttime eating patterns. As her cardiovascular system struggled to cope with the additional workload and inflammatory burden imposed by processing food during sleep hours. It wasn't until Sarah consulted with a functional medicine practitioner who took a comprehensive approach to her health history that the connection between her nightly yogurt consumption and her declining health became crystal clear, revealing how this seemingly innocent habit had created a domino effect of metabolic, digestive, and hormonal disruptions that manifested as the complex array of symptoms she had been experiencing. The functional medicine practitioner
explained to Sarah that the human body operates on a complex circadian rhythm system that regulates not just sleep and wake cycles, but also digestive function, hormone production, body temperature, and metabolic processes, and that consuming large amounts of food within several hours of bedtime disrupts these natural rhythms in ways that can have far-reaching consequences for overall health and well-being. The practitioner helped Sarah understand that her body's natural fasting period during sleep serves crucial functions, including cellular autophagy, where cells clean out damaged components and regenerate, growth hormone production that occurs primarily during deep sleep phases, and the regulation of key metabolic hormones, including insulin, leptin, and ghrelin, that control hunger, satiety, and energy storage. By consuming substantial calories every night before bed, Sarah had unknowingly prevented her body from entering these critical repair and restoration phases, forcing her system to remain in digestive and metabolic overdrive when it should have been focused on healing and regeneration. The revelation about the connection between her nightly eating and her health problems was both devastating and empowering for Sarah, as she finally understood the root cause of her symptoms, but also realized that she had the power to reverse much of the damage by changing her evening routine and allowing her body's natural healing mechanisms to function properly. The process of breaking her 3-year nightly yogurt habit proved more challenging than Sarah initially anticipated, as she had developed both psychological and physiological dependencies on her evening ritual that required careful planning and gradual modification to overcome successfully. Sarah discovered that her nightly yogurt consumption had become deeply intertwined with her stress management and relaxation routines, serving as both a comfort mechanism and a perceived reward for getting through each day, which meant that simply eliminating the food wasn't enough without replacing it with healthier coping strategies and evening rituals. She also learned that her body had adapted to receiving substantial calories before bedtime by adjusting her hunger hormones and circadian eating patterns, making the transition away from nighttime eating initially uncomfortable as her system recalibrated to a more natural eating schedule. Working with her healthcare team, Sarah developed a comprehensive plan to gradually shift her eating window earlier in the day while implementing new evening routines that provided the comfort and relaxation she had been seeking from food without the negative health consequences. The transformation process took several months of consistent effort and occasional setbacks, but the results were nothing short of remarkable as Sarah's body began to heal and recover from years of circadian disruption and metabolic stress. Within the first month of eliminating nighttime eating, Sarah noticed improvements in her sleep quality, with fewer middle-of-the-night awakenings and more refreshing mornings, as her digestive system was finally able to rest and her body could focus on restoration during sleep hours. Her morning bloating disappeared almost immediately once she stopped consuming large amounts of dairy before bed, and her energy levels began to stabilize as her sleep became more restorative and her blood sugar patterns normalized throughout the day. Over the following months, Sarah's more serious health markers began to improve dramatically, with her blood pressure returning to normal ranges, her cholesterol ratios balancing out, her inflammatory markers decreasing significantly, and her abdominal weight beginning to reduce as her metabolism recovered its natural fat-burning capabilities during nighttime fasting periods. The acid reflux that had plagued her for over a year resolved completely within 6 weeks of stopping her nighttime eating, and her joint pain and stiffness gradually diminished as the chronic inflammation in her system subsided and her body's natural anti-inflammatory processes could function effectively. Perhaps most importantly, Sarah's metabolic syndrome markers reversed over the course of 6 months, with her blood sugar control returning to healthy ranges, her insulin sensitivity improving dramatically, and her risk factors for diabetes and cardiovascular disease decreasing substantially as her body healed from the metabolic damage caused by years of disrupted circadian eating patterns. Sarah's story serves as a powerful reminder that even foods that appear healthy and nutritious can become problematic when consumed at the wrong times or in inappropriate quantities, and that our body's natural rhythms and cycles must be respected and supported for optimal health and longevity. Her experience also highlights the importance of considering not just what we eat, but when we eat it, as the timing of food consumption can have profound effects on our metabolic health, sleep quality, hormone production, and overall well-being that may not become apparent until significant damage has already occurred. The most tragic aspect of Sarah's story is that all of her health problems could have been prevented if she had understood the importance of maintaining a natural eating schedule that aligned with her body's circadian rhythms and allowed for proper nighttime fasting periods that support cellular repair and metabolic health. Today, Sarah has completely transformed her evening routine and maintains excellent health by finishing her last meal of the day at least 3 hours before bedtime, focusing on nutrient-dense foods during daylight hours, and using non-food strategies for stress management and relaxation that don't interfere with her body's natural healing processes. If you're currently eating substantial meals or snacks within a few hours of bedtime, Sarah's story should serve as a wake-up call to examine your own nighttime eating patterns and consider whether you might be unknowingly setting yourself up for similar health problems down the road. The good news is that unlike Sarah's situation, where years of damage had already occurred, you have the opportunity to make changes now that can prevent these problems from developing and support your body's natural healing and regenerative processes for optimal long-term health and vitality.